What's going on, good people, and welcome to the Man Up Real Talk podcast with Mike and Phil. Listen, we got a great show for you on today. We are going to be talking about the effects of spirituality, religion, and alternative beliefs on the modern day African American male. We got some awesome guests. We got brother Tony Briscoe and Gary Dotson from Message Mondays joining us, and coming back for a second week in a row is fellow historian brother Eddie K. Phillips. So we got a great show, man. Stay tuned and let's get it going.
Let's get it.
This is a man's world.
Bill, I know I've said this before, but man, I like that intro, bro. That beat is crazy, man.
Yeah, man.
Woo! What's going on, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to the Man Up Real Talk podcast. I am your host, Mr. Mike Wiley, saying greetings and salutations to all of you, our faithful followers and listeners. Y'all know we appreciate every like, every share, every click, every download, and whatever it is that you do to support this podcast, because we know that had it not been for you, wouldn't be no us. So we thank y'all and we appreciate y'all. We don't take that thing for granted. Now, for those of y'all that's joining us for the first time, I want to personally extend a warm and sincere welcome. Thank you for hanging out with us, because we know you can be anywhere else, but you chose to hang out with us and we appreciate that thing. And for those that's back for another helping, we say welcome back, because your boys is back on the air with the Man Up Real Talk podcast. And as you can see, I'm never by myself, because joining me as always is my brother, my partner in crime, Mr. Philip Hines, a.k.a. Mr. Classic, a.k.a. OG Triple OG, who is always in the building. What's going on, man?
You got to stop doing that, Mike.
I got to get the arthritic fingers, bro. It's like,
Hey, you got to stop doing it. Hey, let me tell you a funny thing, man. I was at the store,
What's
right?
up?
I was at the store, right? This old head. You like right my age.
Oh, he was old.
You gonna relax. No, man, it's old, dude. That's why I try to tell these old heads, man. Y'all just don't know how goofy y'all look. He up there throwing up gang signs, right?
No.
Little young boy told like, man, won't you stop doing them old gang signs up in here? Dude felt stupid as all outdoors, Mike.
As he should,
I
sir.
said, that's what he get. That's what you get, man. You too old to be doing that mess, man.
Absolutely, bro. Listen. Public service announcement. I need give me a single shot. Give me a single shot. Just give me a single shot, man. That's all I'm asking for. Yeah. Okay. Listen, guys, my brothers, I need you to heed my words when I say this. If you are in your 30s, in your 40s, and up, and you still throwing gang signs, and your pants are still sagging, and you using words like, what's up, gang?
What's up,
Stop.
gang?
Just stop. You doing all of us older guys a disservice. You look lame doing it. Here's the messed up part. You didn't look cool doing it when you was young, and you look even more stupid now.
But you know what it is, Mike? It's not that. A lot of these old heads are doing. They weren't doing it when they was young. They try to live.
Oh.
They try to live that life now because they're too scared to live it when they were supposed to live it. Believe me, I check a lot of guys every day. The ones I know, I check them all the time. You wasn't out there, homie. You wasn't
What
out
you
there.
say they were? So you wasn't even in them streets like that. Stop
Can't
playing.
lie to me. I know. I was out there, and I know everybody
you
was
was-
out there with me.
Oh, you was out there.
I know everybody was out there with me. So
I ain't even trying to put you on blast like that, but you was out there. Fam.
Yeah,
I'm just
man.
saying. You was definitely out there.
But when you
Listen,
get older, man, leave that stuff alone, old man.
Leave it alone, bro. That's what I'm saying. Just let it go. It's okay. Listen, here's another one. I need another single shot. Give me another single shot.
Knock it out.
Listen, fellas, if you going to the barber and you telling him to just leave the sides, let it go. Just let it go. Let it go, fam.
Right, relax, man.
Just let it go. It's okay. Get you a nice baldy. It's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I'm not here to talk about old heads doing old head stuff. Not tonight. We can save that for another show. Tonight, I was actually having a conversation. Well, if you want to call it a conversation, it was more like the dude was just posting stuff and just rambling. But it was a guy who I was watching something that he was talking about, and it was a video post that he made, and it's just one of them videos, and they were talking about Christianity has killed the Black community. Now, I don't fully agree with that. I don't fully disagree with it, because there are some things that I think within Christianity that has hindered the Black community. Do I think I killed it? No. But as he was talking and everything, it did have me to ask some questions, and I was wondering, are there considerable effects when it when it comes to spirituality and religion and even alternative beliefs, because you have some people that are starting to seek alternate or alternative beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
What type of effects does that have on us as Black men, and of course eventually our families, our communities?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? What type of effect does are you a spiritual person? Do you believe in are you a religious person? What so these questions now are really now more starting to come up, especially with the season that we're in, because it seems like we've never hid this fact from anybody. We talk about it all the time. We consider ourselves to be Christian men. We're believers.
Yes,
And I do believe that this is a season of reset for a lot of things, especially when it comes to us. Why am I on solo shot? Take me off of that. Oh, yeah. I think we're in a season of reset. I really do. And I think God is putting some things in order because, man, listen, some stuff's going to kick off. And he's trying to put people in the places that he needs them to be. And so people are kind of having an awakening. I don't want to say it's a revival, but I think I believe it's more of a restoration in a way of things that once were and need to come back with a new focus, though. And so I wanted to talk about that on this evening, but I wanted to bring a couple of brothers on who I hold in high esteem. One of our guests is Brother Tony Briscoe. He and his partner Gary Dotson, they do an awesome Christian show on Monday called Message Mondays. They do it every Monday at 7:00. You can definitely check him out live on Facebook, and I believe he's on other social media outlets as well. And he's no stranger to the show. Mr. Tony Briscoe is here with us on today. What's going on, Tone?
What's up, family? How y'all doing?
What's good,
Man,
bro?
doing good, man. Doing good. And then
Audio
also,
good. Audio good.
yeah, oh man, audio great, man. Your camera is
Excellent.
just crazy, bro.
Immaculate,
What you
man. It's so
what you
clear,
using, an
man. It's
iPhone?
ridiculous,
Man, it's like
That's like a $20 webcam, bro. Don't even trip.
what? I need to listen. My web camera old as all get out, bro. I think I got this from Radio Shack. That's how old this is. I'm just saying. We'll talk about that later. And then also, we have another guest. He's definitely no stranger to the show. As a matter of fact, he was just on last week talking about his book, talking about his Black History book. He is the head and the founder of the Erudition Network, our friend and fellow historian, Brother Eddie K. Phillips, is joining us.
Brother Eddie.
I'm like, did he bring his own cheering section? What was that?
What's up, man? What's up? I'm trying to get myself right. Right.
That was me, man. That was me.
I'm like, what the world was that?
All right, I'm right.
I'm like, Eddie brought his own cheering section today. I ain't even mad at that. That's the crazy part. I'm like, hey, do what you do. Let me get this take this overlay off so we can see you, Eddie. Yeah,
oh, that's fine. Because I got a big face, man. I can't.
Yeah, no, man. But I got these circles working, man, and and that all this other stuff. Don't we good? Don't worry.
No, you fine.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I definitely wanted to have you guys on, because this guy was talking and he was talking about Christianity and religion and black people ain't supposed to follow Christianity and all this other stuff, and it's just like, all right, fam, whatever. But it did get me to thinking, and I did want to talk about just the effects of those when it comes to us as black men. I want to go into that cultural significance of the black church. So really, that's what I wanted to go into, because when you think about the black church, when we was coming up, man, the church had so much reverence and respect, and it was really considered to be a pillar, in our communities. And some people, depending on who you talk to, will tell you that that's kind of waning, so to speak. And so I just wanted to kind of have this conversation to pick y'all brains and our viewers who may be watching, or those that will come back at a later time and watch this, and just and kind of dive into it a little bit. So I'm gonna throw some questions out there, Tone. I'm gonna start with you first, and I want to ask you, like, when you were coming up, how has growing up in the black church influenced, like your faith and your spirituality, or how did growing up in the black church affect your faith and your spirituality?
I think it's a great question, and I think it impacted it in a great way of what not to be. I say that to say I was raised in 3 households: Muslim, Catholic, and Protestant. And none of those households I grew up in reflected any tenets of any of those faiths. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My grandfather and my grandmother were never married. She watched TV on church every Sunday. My grandfather was probably the sweetest man on the planet, but when alcohol got in him, I literally watched the beast come out. And it was only when he drank. World War II veteran, so God knows what he experienced in World War II, not just dealing with racism in America, but dealing with racism while you're fighting for a country that hates you. And then with my mom, who was used to push drugs for a very famous drug dealer that every folk in Mo know. It just was not a good example at all. I say that to say I still think the foundations of the men that I met within the church made a significant difference and a significant impact. I think the father who was at Holy Angels back in the day was a tremendous man. Zero perversion received from that guy at all. When my grandmother died, Holy Angels Church showed up for us in mighty ways. And so I think in the midst of being surrounded by darkness, light has always prevailed for me. And I think, my foundation of coming up in the church, my roots are my roots. What's her name? I was listening to her today. Can't think of her name. Tasha Cobb has a song called "The Church I Grew Up In," and it just made me reflect one day. Like, man, I've been through some things at church. Gary and I have talked about church hurt, but man, the church I grew up in, I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. I never thought I'd ever be back there again. In terms of going back to church at all, because of the way my brother and I were treated, being foster kids by some people, when we had a bad split with the family who was taking care of us, which were cousins. But man, I love my church home, man. I'm still there. I never thought I'd be a minister of the gospel. I never thought I'd be an ordained minister. I never thought I'd be teaching kids there. I never thought I'd serve in the dance ministry there. I founded a mime ministry there. I never thought I'd serve in the Brotherhood Chorale there. So man, it's my history of my church is really good, and it's the foundation of my faith, man. I'm unapologetically Christian. I'll tell that to anybody.
That's what's up. Eddie, I'm gonna toss the same question to you. How did growing up in the Black church influence your views of on faith and spirituality?
Well, a lot. I kind of, can y'all hear me? Am I good?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you're good.
I believe, I grew up my entire life in church. My mother made sure that we had a major foundation in church. Me and Tina, my wife, we grew up in the same church. I've known my wife since we were toddlers. Once she was a toddler and I was a little bit older, but not much older, contrary to what she would say. Anyway, no, but church to me is essential. I don't think I could have made it out of the military. I could have done any of the things that I have done without having a root in God. There is a lot of things even now that go on in my life, right? That I don't think I could be able to do. Most people don't know that I am 100% disabled veteran. They don't know that. You wouldn't know that by the way I do what I do, and that's all because of God. Most folks wouldn't know the hell I catch for doing majority of the things that I do, even when it comes down to history and things like that. And what has grounded me is my faith and my faith in God that allows me to get through all of those things. I just told my family, it's funny that you guys reached out, because I just told my family recently, God manifested a revelation to me and told me, Eddie, the reason why you get fought, you're fighting so hard is because this is your ministry that I gave you. And in your house and in your family, this is why the fight is going to be so hard, because people don't want what's coming out of your house, rather it comes from you, your wife, or your kids. And the devil is going to do everything he can to fight that. And I don't think that having that understanding, and y'all people don't know, that uplifted me, that God gave me that revelation. It didn't bring me down. It made me understand a lot more. And I will say lastly, when I was in the military, I took all of these tests and different things. And I remember a lady told me, she said, your personality and your intellect it's amazing to me that you would even say anything about God, because your type of personality is rare and those people don't believe in God. I said, well, they haven't seen the manifestations of God that I have seen since I was a child. And I think the reason that God did that was so I could be able to do what I do today. And I thank him for that. So it is very important to me.
Now, Phil, I know you didn't grow up in the church, but you've been in church now for some time. What in your life, what's the major difference between then in terms of how you view faith and spirituality and now?
Shout out to Deacon Hines.
Yes, sir. Recently elevated. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Well, Mike, I wasn't raised in church. My parents didn't go to church. My mother used to watch church on Sunday mornings, the different preachers that came on, and, clean Sunday when she was cleaning and cooking, she listened to GCL BMX. They play the gospel music at 12 o'clock. I might be too old. I don't know if y'all remember that. Gospel music come on to 12 o'clock on Sunday morning.
Man, on Sunday,
BMX, baby. Yes, sir. We got
yeah.
So I didn't go to church when I was growing up. And then, like I said, well, Tony and Eddie, you all don't know the story. I had got shot. And when I had got shot, I think I had an epiphany. I wanted to change my life. So I started going around the churches. It's like, maybe I need to get in somebody's church to help me change. And every church I went to, they turned me away. They kept telling me, no, next time you come in with a suit. So that turned me off. So that kind of gave me a disdain for the church. And Mike can tell you, him and Kelly came to me like several times, like, won't you come? I don't do church. But once I did join church and got into the word and start understanding what it was about, I realized that a lot of stuff I thought about the church it wasn't true. That's why I don't like when folks box, like when a pastor say something and folks, they box all pastors and churches into that. I don't like that because we're all different. But what I can say about being in Christ now, I'm confident in my Christianity. I'm not going to never be ashamed of it, no matter what. I'm glad for what God has done for me and what he's going to do for me. And basically, you know, I used to be a real angry person. I used to like to fight and do all that time. But every morning, my prayer is, God, protect my mind. That's why I say every morning. I when I wake up, I thank him. Thanks for waking me up, waking my wife up. Thank you for waking up whoever eyes that was woke up this morning. Thank you. But the first thing after I say that, first thing I say is, God, please protect my mind. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's like I'm more patient now, y'all. I am very patient now. It's like a lot of stuff that would make me go 0 to 100 real quick. I'm kind of laid back more now, and I give all that to God. That's nothing but God, because I truly feel that without God, I wouldn't be able to do that. I would still be this loose cannon. Like my wife would say, we'd be in a club and somebody look at her wrong, and I'm ready to go upside the head with a beer bottle. I mean, y'all don't hold it against me. That's how I was back in the days.
I ain't gonna hold it against you, bro. We thank you for being honest.
You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, I tell anybody, you know, if you let God in and you let him take the lead of your life and you heed to him, you will see the change in yourself. And you won't even know it. And that's how I feel. It's like a lot of stuff, a lot of people that was kind of scared to approach me. Now I'm approachable to them. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a lot of people that didn't want to mess with me because they knew, no, you know, Phil, you know, you got to catch him on that day. You might catch him on that wrong day and he'd be ready to fight. But, you know, I just thank God that he protects my mind. He makes me a better person on the inside, where I can have more compassion and I can have more patience. If you all can understand that.
I mean, it's the work of the Holy Spirit in the
Yes,
lives
sir.
of us. And so I think that's the culminating piece, right? We know it's not a church necessarily, although a great church home can lead you to that experience. You know what I'm saying?
God though, but it's all God.
Yeah. So you just it's the work of the Holy Spirit, man, when you talk about your transformation. And I think that's the testament.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I can definitely, you know, he still come off mad aggressive sometimes, but
only at you, Mike.
I can,
only at you.
You know,
only
I was about to say,
you.
but I think that's only with me
you.
though, which is fine, you know, because
I love you, but only at you.
I bring out the best and the worst in Phil, and I understand it.
I've watched you do it, bro.
But you know what I love about it is that it shows growth, because at one point in time he would not respond at all, and it was like if you look at just how like when we first started, and I told him, I said, I want you on the podcast, Phil. And he was like, well, Mike, I really ain't got much to say to people. I said, that's okay. I said, but you got a point of view, and that's what I want. And he would, you know, chime in from time to time. And now sometimes I can't even shut him up.
See?
You know, and that's
y'all see why he gets on my nerves. Did you hear that, Tony?
But that was growth.
See, this is what I'm talking about right here. We having a great.
But it was growth. I'm trying to tell him how you grow, but it was growth, right? And like now he vocalizes, he expresses, and he does all of those things. And even like, and you talking about like even his change in his walk with the Lord, like I seen where he was and where he is. And I told him Sunday, I'm proud of him, man, because of just how the Lord has really has changed him. And I see the influence, you know, that we're talking about. Look, I came up, my dad didn't go to church at all, you know. My mom was heavy into church. She went every time the doors was open, she was there. She served, she sung in the choir, she worked in the kitchen, she was on the cleaning committee. She did all of that stuff, you know. So church was it was heavy, you know, and so much so to the point where when I got to a certain point, I didn't want to go, because at one point in time, I started to, well, as I got older, I started to see things. And, you know, I started to see hypocrisy, right, in some things. I started to see how some people were one way when they were in church, and then they were a different way when they were outside of church. I started to see how people talked, and just their whole way of life was like, well, wait a minute, you're not even living the stuff that you proclaiming on Sundays. And so I got a little, I got a little, I don't know, man. I think I just kind of fell out with church a little bit, right? And I just stopped going. However, because of the influence was heavy, I eventually got into a church, but it wasn't my mom's. I left that church because I was like, I can't do it. And I just found my own church that I wanted to go to. And it was a small church, like a little small storefront church, but the people were sincere. And a couple of my friends went there. That helped as well. And just started to grow in that church and learn more about the Lord. And then eventually I got what I felt that I was able to get out of that church, and the Lord led me to another church. And even there, started learning more, started understanding how to seek the Lord, how to fast, how to pray. And all of these things is just a culmination to where I am today, man. And when I hear people talk about, you know, the church ain't this and the church ain't that, I'm like, the church has its flaws, but you also have to understand that the church is people. It's consistent. It consists of people, of flawed people.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna have its flaws, but I always try to focus on the positive influences and how it has increased my faith, how it's given me the ability to endure, to go through like with Eddie, with stuff like just seem like it's just constant attacks almost.
Mhm.
And I learned to take that as a good sign, because just like Eddie said, a lot of times it's when the Lord has something for you to do, the devil don't want that thing to come out. And he's constantly sending agents to try to deter you, and you get, you know what I'm saying? And you get discouraged in all of those things. But I thank God for the influence and for the Holy Spirit that strengthens, man. It's like, I don't know where I would be, man. I sit back sometimes and I look at my journey, and I'm just like, you know, I don't think I would have it any other way. You know what I'm saying? It's I like the road that I took, and I like where I am, and I'm looking forward to where I'm going. So, you know, I definitely appreciate my journey. Tony, let me ask you though, when you talk about spirituality, what does spirituality means to you?
I mean, I just look at my faith in Christianity, right? You know, you're always going to meet somebody who says they are not spiritual. I think one of the big misses and the misinterpretations is that I didn't really understand spirituality in itself when they talk about, oh, you know, I'm spiritual. Like, no, I think spiritual has to do with heritage and ancestry, which we don't have here in America. I mean, that's the entire purpose of the Erudition Network, to teach us, you know, there are some concepts of African spirituality that we don't have here that they still have in Ghana, West Africa, where I was. Yep. The elders talked about being restored to the homeland of Yeshua, like the ancestors there, not here, not Hebrew Israelites. I'm talking when I was in Ghana, West Africa. I talked to the elders who have a different expression of Christianity, spirituality, and belief, right? So we listened to Tupac pour out a little liquor. I was never taught what libations were until I went to Ghana, West Africa, and we poured a little liquor. Those libations in West Africa that we went to, they had to stop the guy at the Cape Coast dungeon, I call it, the castles, because this dude was doing libations for almost 25 minutes. He's like, hey, we got to keep the tour going. You need to, but I'm serious. And it's more pouring out than it is intake.
Right.
Okay. They take whole bottles. The entire shrine in one of the dungeons was full of alcohol, of libations, just pouring out for the memory of it. So it's more than just pouring out a little liquor and then sit back and sipping on some 40s or some 64-ounce malt, Schlitz malt liquor back in the day. It's really the spirituality with that. It's a ritual of respect and honor that we don't get here. It's because we don't know any better. And so, you know, we look at Tupac's Pot a Little Liquor, but we don't understand the context of which it come from, where it came from. Tupac may know because of his mother and her work with the Black Panther Party and getting that information from her, but that's not something I knew the depth of it until I went to Ghana, West Africa. And that was only for 9 days, bro. I didn't scratch 1% of the surface of what's there to learn. And so when I think of spirituality, I really start thinking of those things and traditions that we just don't have here. Their memory for their elders when they passed in Ghana, West Africa, bro, everywhere we went, we saw banners honoring all their deceased elders, men and women. Everywhere we went, these folks have their spirituality. Again, they celebrate for weeks. In Nigeria, they do 4 weeks, 1 week of mourning and 3 weeks of celebration for that life. That's part of the ancestry and spirituality that we don't have here. And so when I say I can't really define spirituality because I haven't been taught the roots of Christianity outside of a Eurocentric lens. So what they told us was witchcraft. It ain't witchcraft, bro. It ain't witchcraft. It's not witchcraft. And so I don't understand the totality of spirituality because I have not learned or consumed all that my people have to teach us in the pass down from generation to generation. And this is where Black Panther should have been a part of at least a lesson inside of every school, because once you capture the mind of our young Black people like Black Panther did, you can't leave it on the screen. You got to bring that bad fella home and say, okay, let me tell you about, you know, there's no real Wakanda, but let me tell you about where you get Wakanda from. I'll land it there, man, because I'm you know.
That was good.
So let me piggyback on that then, Eddie. Let me toss this to you because there was a conversation that a gentleman was having about the resurgence of some ancestral practices, like I think it's IFA or IFA. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. IFA, even hoodoo and Rastafarianism. Do you believe that there is a place for alternative belief systems with, you know, as Christians, or do you think that those are those belief systems? And if you know, like how do you see those particular? How do you see those?
I mean, it's very astute the way you all are approaching it. So this is how I see it, and I see it because my lens is always a little different in the way I look at history. African religion belongs to the people. You have to understand that if you look at African what I mean by religious beliefs, their spiritual beliefs have always been about the people. It is not in a way that the European has been taught, where the people belong to the church. It's different, right? When Africans migrated, when they left their areas, it didn't matter where they were coming from. It didn't matter if you came from the Umayyad Caliphate. It didn't matter if you came from the Kingdom of Aksum. It didn't matter. You took your religion and your beliefs with you, and you passed those on to who you traveled with, who you integrated with. And even when our people were brought over here and taken over here, they didn't lose their spirituality. They took that with them, right? Up to this day, right? Africans still live according to the traditions and the spirituality that they were taught in ancient times. It chastises them. It makes them understand. And since it belongs to everybody, and because it migrates with that, it makes it to a point where you don't forget. Now here's, and Tony, he touched on it. The problem with us over here is that we kind of don't, because we were removed and it was stripped from us. It was taken from us. Your name, your name. There's a reason why Africans held their children to the sky. There's a reason why they poured, like you said, libation. There's a reason why they did all of these things. And because we don't learn these things, and when we do hear about them, they tell us, just like Tony said, this is voodoo. This is cursing. This is not of God. That is because a majority, and as I'm writing this new book, I'm really touching it. A majority of it is that we were taught religious ceremonies and rituals from people who really didn't even understand the religion that they had usurped.
Mm.
So when you take a religion and you create myths and mistruths and lies in it, and then you tell people, well, this is the way. Remember, the Spanish, when they came over for the indigenous people over here, they came with a requisite from the Catholic Church, right? That they read that the people didn't even understand, telling them that we were doing this in the name of God. And that because we're doing this in the name of God, if you fight us, we will kill you, your wives, and your children because God wills it. We have to understand. When I hear people say that, I've heard the stupid sayings, they taught you a white man's religion. Do you understand that the African and the Middle Eastern, all that was Africa? Do you understand that they understood that religion? They understood Christianity. They understood Judaism more than you did, right? They understood Islam better than you did. These were religions that had all gone through all throughout Africa, through trade, through environment, through writing. The Egyptians in themselves were very religious people. Now, they may have believed in a sun god, but understand, as I said on my show yesterday, they believed in a sun god because solar insolation had disrupted the entire life in northern Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So they saw it as God is using the sun. So we will pray to this sun. And let's now graft what happens with all of these stars and things. This is our spirituality that we have disconnected ourselves from is so much deeper. It has created and taught, inspired this entire world. And I know I'm getting on a tangent, but I want y'all to understand
Go ahead,
that
bro.
when I look at African spirituality, I didn't say religion. I try to make sure I don't say religion. It is a different thing. It is an entirely different thing. It is something.
I want to touch on that in a minute. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because it functions in a way. You know, I was telling my wife earlier today, that when the black man over here got the vote, when he was given the vote, because we're in an election season, you know what he did that nobody else had done? And this is one of the reasons why white, even abolitionists, females turned on the black community. The black man said, okay, they gave me the vote. They went into these churches that they made in these freeman towns. And they took their wives and their kids and they went in these churches and they sat down and they said, what do we think as a family would be the best thing for us to vote on to benefit us as a people? And then they sat with everybody in the church and they all came to a consensus. This was tribalism that was taught to them, that was passed down to them, that was a part of their religion, that was a part of their spirituality. And we've gotten away from that. We so much caught on the I. And we forget it belongs to the people, not the people belonging to it. And so when I look at spirituality as far as how my Christianity goes, that's how I try to look at it. It's about teaching. It's about sharing. It's about knowing that this is all of us. All of us. Jesus gave us the commandment to love each other, love one another. That proves to be the hardest commandment for people to follow.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's just
Eddie be
It's
dropping
crazy.
mics, don't he?
Man,
you know what though? But
man.
it's funny because I was having a conversation with my nephew and his friend. I thank God for opportunity because you just never know when you'll get a chance to talk to somebody. Now we were playing something on Xbox, and he asked me a question, and I started talking to him, and then all of a sudden his friend asked me a question, and we were just talking about just our identity as Black people, and as Eddie was talking, I just felt something in my soul because it's like when you really look back and you wonder why sometimes we seem so disconnected from each other, and it's because we just don't know. And I was telling him about you, and I was talking about, because I was like, man, I know this guy, and I'm like, this dude is, he's like a legit historian, man. And I'm like, and the information that he gives, I said, people go to like universities and seminars and pay for this stuff, and I'm like, and he's giving it out free, and it's like nobody cares. It's like, no, like we don't care, and we don't value. At least I just feel like this sometimes. Like I just feel like we just don't care enough about ourselves to go and seek the information, and so that you can realize just how dope of a person you are, how dope we are as people, how powerful we are as people, and what the Lord put in us, and how we just don't seem to value that, and how we just give it away. And it just bothers me sometimes, man. And so when I hear stuff like this, and when people are like, well, the white man did this, I'm like, yeah, he did, but we have the opportunity to reconnect, and we don't. We just don't do it, man.
Because we've been trained to be lazy when it comes to that, Mike. Be honest with you.
Shout out to my pastor. Sorry, guys, it's covering all up.
Pastor?
But he posted a lot. He said our ancestors brought their spirituality with them.
Yes.
And when they were brought here, but there are records of the Christian church in America creating plans to stop that and make them serve God like the Europeans. And they labeled our ancestors witches to demean them for their spirituality. Yeah. That's crazy, man. Anyway, Tony, I want to throw this to you. When we look at religion and spirituality, and spirituality and our faith, and how it provides strength, and how it provides resilience, what role will you say, or what role does faith play, or how has faith played a role in helping the Black man navigate societal pressures, like racial equality, etc.? I'm gonna let you answer that, and then Eddie, you can chime in too.
Okay. Man, so I think all of you all know, I definitely know Eddie knows what I went through in my experience greeting Sister Phillips at the last job where I worked, where I had been in operations for 12 years, so I applied for a chief operations officer role. They gave it to a white guy with zero operational experience. Now, he's a talented individual, friend of mine to this day. But I went through something then, because I'm like, yo, God, like, what's up with this? Right. And so my name is the Endurer. So I have to endure things so the next brother does not have to. And I never know what that's going to be. I wear it. I tried to change my name to the Overcomer or the Victorious one. And the Lord was like, that ain't the name I gave you. I gave you the name the Endurer. Don't worry about what nobody else saying. You stick to what I gave you. I say that to say what I learned from that process was when it came to DEI, when it came to feeling racism at the forefront. The first thing when you get before the Lord, after your anger get out, now you got to deal with him directly. And that's never gonna go smooth when you out of order. And the first scripture that came to my mind was, put not that confidence in man or the princes of this world.
This is how this works.
And what did I do? I put that I've been in this role. I've been doing operations for 12 years. My track record is 100. Maybe some discrepancies here and there, but I've built a team of 23 people. I've managed them. We built the network. All this, I'm just throwing all this stuff up. I put my confidence in that. He said, so let me get this straight. I told you not to put your confidence in man, and you did it. And now you mad you didn't get what you wanted, but you got the results of what I told you would happen by putting your confidence in man.
Come on,
Ain't that what we do?
Bruh.
That's the craziest thing to me.
You know what I'm saying?
We go on our own admission, do things, make decisions.
Say that first part again, Mike.
We go on our own admission,
Bruh.
and then we get mad at the Lord and say, "Why did you let this happen?" And he said, "Like, wait a minute, I had no play in this." You made that decision.
Yeah.
You decided to put your stock in this person.
Yeah.
And now you wonder why it didn't work out. All right. Okay. I'm
But-
sorry, Tom. Go ahead. I just
but
that-
in the midst of that, he blessed me.
there you go.
I had to learn how to, when they made the announcement of who the chief operating officer would be, I'm sitting in front of 500 of my peers. I know 85% of them. So when they announce it, they don't look at the person they announce. All those eyes are looking. And you know, when you're in a room with somebody staring at you,
Yes, sir.
imagine hundreds of people staring at you. Imagine when you have one of your team members who's white comes up to you and says, Tony, how could they even make this decision? And I looked at him. I'm like, you asking me? You already know the answer to the question. But it was still to be able to sit there and endure and to hold my head up to say, you're not going to break me. I'm hurting, but you're not going to break me. This ain't my first rodeo. It's not my first rodeo going through this. But I say faith plays a role because at the end of the day, after all my emotions are out the way, take racism off the table, take DEI off the table, if the Lord wanted me to have that position, there's nothing man could have done to stop me. There's nothing nobody could have done to stop it.
Right.
And I don't want to use that as a cop-out, but it taught me. And so now taking a job with a pay cut, I'm healthier. I sleep better. Bro, I don't just walk in peace, I live in it. My heart feels better. My back feels better. My migraines are almost reduced to a minimal. Like the benefits of the Lord saying, I'm going to do something different for you. And it's not going to come how you like it, but I'm going to give you what you need, son. And then to be at a place that openly values you. See, before I put my value in somebody else's hand, again, I put my confidence in man and the princes of this world. So faith comes in, spirituality comes in, spiritual growth comes in.
Yes, sir.
And now when you recognize your own value, but when you see others express that kind of value and appreciation for you in a different setting, who's not afraid of you having the spotlight, who's not afraid of you having hard conversations with them, that if we keep going down this road, we're not going to survive. And so faith says, endure hardness as a good soldier.
Mm-hmm.
No soldier that warreth entangled himself with the cares of this life, that he may please him who called him and called him to be a soldier. So when I start putting my mind on things above, my sister at the job, she told me, I know you going through right now, bro, but I'm gonna need you to do one thing. Don't let nobody steal the reputation you've built for yourself here. My wife told me, hey, walk. The Lord will take care of us. She got that kind of faith. So right, my wife been staying home 20 years, bro. She don't blink. That woman she like, the Lord gave me a dream. You gonna take care of me. I don't worry about that stuff. If you need to walk. God will provide. No. But I said, I hear what you're saying. I appreciate your support on that. But I gotta leave on the term that God wants me to leave on. I'm not gonna leave on a negative note. I'm not gonna leave this damaged individual. I'm not gonna make a decision to leave because I don't like this decision. When I leave, my name will be intact. My reputation will be intact, because the way sometimes things work, you never know when you got to go back to Samaria, bro.
Come on.
But
come on, Tony.
Go back at a higher value. No, homie, you got to drop me $350 now, dog. I don't do that old stuff no more. Yeah. But it's saying that faith that I had to know that I could share with my brothers in Christ, that my wife knows I'm going through, and she knows when to press, when to stay back, when to lay hands on, when to pray. When I got brothers telling me that, hey, Tone, I get what you're going through, but you know, promotion comes from the Lord. Hey, Brother Briscoe, I've been through this, man. You just got to pray. Keep your head up. I know you're going to feel it. I know you're going to go through. And so this is why I don't separate myself from the church or the body when I'm going through. Because if the enemy could isolate me,
come on,
rob, kill, steal, and destroy. That's his trick. If he can isolate me, if I separate myself from my brothers who are in the faith, if I separate myself from my sisters who are in the faith, that means I'm not necessarily disconnecting from y'all. What I'm doing internally is disconnecting from God. And when I disconnect from him, that's when the enemy got him in the snipers, baby. Let's go.
Yep.
Pick up the porn magazines. Pick up the bottle of alcohol. Pick up anger again. Pick up bitterness again.
Yes,
Pick
sir.
up rage again. And now y'all see me on Facebook wilding out, cussing, and using profanity. And now you, Eddie, and Phil getting together like, hey, we got to come. We're going to have to move on Chicago. Eddie, coming to town, bro. Because that's the kind of men I've surrounded myself with, who will pick up the phone and put me in place and in check. That's the importance of faith, commitment, and brotherhood. That's the power of faith in the life of a believer, that even at our worst, God is still working on our behalf.
Yes, sir.
Woo, man.
Man, listen, this is a great conversation, but
this may be a little different. This is a little different from what y'all used to.
Mike, I want to throw a question out there, Mike.
And, go ahead, throw a question out there,
Eddie,
Philip.
you can start this off. Do you think the Black community still holds religion as a cornerstone of identity, or has that shifted over time?
Now, see, I ain't want to go there, but since you went there, let's go there, because
it's shifted.
Let's keep it real. It's just like I said earlier,
brother Tony. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your answer also after Eddie.
Yeah, because we got to get an offering plate ready. Because Tony gonna speak again. Listen, because because I said the same thing. I was like, and see, I would say this though, and then people would like, Mike, why are you attacking the church? I'm like, I'm not attacking the church. I don't know why y'all think just because I go to church I can't point things out. The thing is that if this is an issue, we need to acknowledge the issue and address the issue, and then hopefully correct the issue. So one of the issues is that I've always said is that people don't look at the church, not the Black church, especially within the communities, not the same way that they used to look at the church back in the day. Because like I said, the church used to be a pillar. It was a place that you knew that if nowhere else that you could go to the local church, and people
the church respected also, Mike.
And
the church was, but we respected the church. We respected the preacher.
Yeah, and some people will say that was just an illusion. You thought that people respected the church. I'm like, well, even so, I'm like, at least back then the illusion was real, because people, if they was arguing, what they would do? They would cross the street.
Yeah, cross the street. They
wouldn't argue in front of the church. They wouldn't cuss in front of the church. Now folks curse in the church. But I'm sorry.
About a church. Take your hat off. You would on GP. No parents around when we played.
No parents, nothing.
Hat off the head.
But he did ask the question, do you guys think that the church still holds that same reverence? Do people still see the church as a pillar, or has that view shifted? And Eddie, you can kick that off.
I think that it has shifted. I saw that Pastor Razor put in there, but let's not forget, even to this day, the power and the influence of what we call the Black church.
Yes.
There is nothing in the history of this country as powerful as the Black church, and then defining what that is, because I'm gonna give you y'all this issue. So many people, me and Tino was just talking about this. You need to understand what the church is.
Come on.
Right? We give the church so many different names. You see gospel singers gyrating on stage, and we say, well, that's the Black church. We see people who will go to the strip club one day, right, and put money on, or bills on a woman and be filmed, and then the next day stand in front of people and act like they preaching. That's not the Black church either. So what is the sacred, right? The Black, going back to what I said earlier, Black spirituality and Black heritage run side by side. And so what we have to understand is that they always saw it as a gift of the Spirit. There's a reason why slaves sat in the field and cried to God all day, from can't see to can't see. right? And we ask, well, what's the endurance? You ever been on your job and been so tired, felt like you couldn't move?
Ooh.
And they had no choice, right? And they went back and forth and they did it every day, right? And some did die, but they kept their faith in God. That spirituality, that belief, that faith, right? That time of Jubilee that they held on to, right, is important because that was their spirituality. That was, I know that there is a God somewhere and he hears me. Frederick Douglass wrote about there's nothing more angelic than the call and response of Black slaves, right? It stirs your spirit. It even stirred the spirit of the racist white folks.
Yeah.
They had to sit there. They had to hear it to make sure that they knew that them slaves would, or maybe that makes them happy. Let them sing. If they're not singing, then it's danger. That's how they felt. So when I look at the Black church and I say, well, has it changed? We have not done many studies into the Black church because let's be honest, we've not allowed ourselves to study the Black church. And those, the few that were done in the 50s and the 60s, most of us have never read them. We don't know nothing about it. We don't know nothing about the dialectical models. We don't know what those things are. We don't know how they change because over time, the Black church has tried certain parts of it or placed parts of it that calls itself the Black church, has tried to assimilate itself to what they see as the modern European mentality of what the church is. And because they try to find themselves going along with that, they forgot their spirituality. Let's not forget that Dr. King said, well, you know, when he wrote his letter from a Birmingham jail, and why he talked about how preachers, ministers of the faith, preachers of Christ would not stand up to say that this oppression, this murder, this killing is wrong. Because you didn't see it as wrong. Because your understanding of the church, of spirituality, is completely different from mine. When I say I won't turn back, when I say I'm free at last, thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. I'm not just talking about free from your oppression. I'm free to be whatever God allows me to be, whatever he called me to be. And so we've gotten away from that jubilant cry. We've gotten away from that connection to our spirituality in such a way that we worship man. Tony, your words touch me because every Black man, I guarantee you, is living that.
Yes, sir.
When you walk into a job and you are not appreciated for what you do, but you the first one there and the last one to leave.
One out.
Not just your job. Shoot,
Yeah.
it's other areas. Other areas of
life.
life where
That's
your
everyday
life,
life.
man. That's
And you have to
goodness.
take that. And this comes from a country that defined you as 3/5 of a person and
Yes,
told you that. And let's never forget that what is written down, right, was written down for a purpose. These were supposedly religious men, but they believed this. And so the power of the Black church, as we see it, at a Black spirituality, W.B. Du Bois wrote about it. It's a gift. It's something that we have given them. Without that spirit, without that power, America would never know what it really meant to be democratic. They would never know what it really meant to not be separate. Because their mentality from the time of discovery, even before this country, they saw everybody as separate, something else. It was the Black. It was the slave that said, no, I should be equal. I am a man. I am a woman. I am a person. And it changed the idea of democracy, the idea of how people should be looked at. The Catholic Church didn't do that. I'm sorry, it didn't do that. They wrote papal bulls telling you that people were the other. It was the Black church. It was the Black experience, the Black spirituality that changed that. Lastly, you guys were talking about people. When you hear Africans talk, I hear people say, well, you know, they always talk about their ancestors. They always talk about their ancestors. And I used to tell people, you know, and I wrote it, I think in one of my books, I said, you know, we have gotten out of the Kiswahili mentality of the Sasha and the Zumani. The Sasha, right? And I was just talking to my sons about this early, are people who are still here. Do you realize we still live in the Sasha of Martin Luther King Jr., of Malcolm X, right? We still live in the Sasha of those people. They may be dead, but there are people in this world who knew them, who were their children, who interacted with them, who bled with them, who still live and teach us to this day. We can't say that about the Zamani. Those are the Frederick Douglasses. Those are the people who came in slavery. They've been dead for over 150, 200 years. We can only go back what was written and how their spirituality was. Harriet Tubman said, I heard a voice that told me where to go when I didn't know where to go.
Yes, sir.
We have to get back in touch with the spirituality, with the walk with God that is given to us through our ancestors. They tried to teach us. We still have writings. We need to connect to that Sasha, to that teaching, Pastor Ray's, of different people. They tried to teach us these things that are still connected to us.
Hey, baby.
Slavery may be long gone. That's the first thing you hear people say. Oh, slavery long gone. Nobody here was a slave and nobody here was a slave master. That may be true. But the connection through the Sasha, through the people who are alive, whose parents may have endured those palmers, who may have endured those lynchings, who may have endured those civil rights issues. Hold on to your faith, because that tells you that God walked with them. He will walk with you. And we have to do better, I think, as Black men, and leading our families and understanding that there is a teaching that goes along with the spirituality, not just a barking at you.
Come on.
We got to teach. I heard a pastor today, and I heard a pastor today on a program said, why don't we teach our history in our churches?
Yeah.
If they're not going to teach it at the state level, if they're not going to teach it at the federal level, that does not excuse us from informing our people. But we will get up here and bark and preach and holler and whoop. But we're not giving these young people what they need to know. You are worth something. This walk with God that your great grandmama had when she stood on that block getting sold. Didn't know where she was going. And all she had was her African spirituality.
Yep.
To cry to God, to moan to God.
Yeah.
That was for you. Because she knew she was already in suffering. That was for us. And it makes me emotional because we are losing that. And every day, it seems like we get more and more from it. And if you go over to Africa, like Tony said, you will rekindle that. You will find, man, I didn't even know that about me.
Right.
That's who I am.
Man.
Go.
People talk about, since I've come from Ghana, West Africa, man, people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to Paris. Oh yeah, I'm going to, I'm going on a European tour. I'd be like, young people, them countries don't care about you, dog. You can go to Spain, but I guarantee they're not going to let you know that the Moors are the ones who civilized it, who ruled it for 700 years, who built all them flying buttresses. And man, they said they had I was listening to a report of a documentary on Amazon that said in one of the temples, they reverence Islam and Christianity and Judaism. Bro, they had a gold Quran right next to a gold Bible. Gold. Right? So when we talk about in America where Christianity is headed, I just finished today this book by a gentleman named Tim Alberta. It's a must read for every evangelical, particularly white folks and these black folks who are supporting Donald Trump, because this dude wrote this book, The Kingdom, the Power, and the Glory, American Evangelicals in an Age of Extremism. The way this dude tells stories of how these mega white churches went from using Jesus' name on Sundays to Donald Trump name on Sundays. He went toward churches, had conversations. He said he heard whole sermons with no mention of Jesus and no mention of a scripture. Mm-hmm. This is what his book is talking about. Is either his epilogue or the chapter before that, his closing chapter. He talks about in 2 generations, the church will have 30% occupancy. because there's such a falling away from church. He said the word evangelical is no longer tied to discipleship or faith. The word evangelical is now tied to white nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right? White nationalism. And so when you think about the impact, I think where our era is in the black church, and my man Gary not on, but I know he don't like when I use black church or white church, but I tell him it's a reason we have to use that, because
it is right.
that just
It's
is what
different.
it is, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
it's.
it
I mean,
wasn't
it is.
until black theology came in under the ushering partially of James Cone, but long before that the establishment of the first black AME church, that's when it became a black church, because it got to a place we were like, well, we don't need white overseers to teach us how to preach. We can do that on our own. We've been preaching some of them longer, y'all, because y'all only taught the white congregations and we were preaching to black slaves. Y'all thought we were preaching one message, and though some of us were, there were a lot of us who were not preaching that message y'all wanted us to preach. Right? The essence of Christianity. I think where we've erred is where Pastor Henry took off. Biblically black.
Yes, sir.
Our young people don't know history. So when they go to an HBCU, and I'm going to call them out, when they go to an HBCU, they're presented a representation of Christianity that is Eurocentric only. And that's one of the biggest errors of not all HBCUs, but some of them, particularly the ones I know I got family members that went to, who want no parts of church altogether. Is because when you start at 16, 19, when you start at slavery for us, you cut off the whole trace of our records. If you think we got hidden figures in this country just from our history here, how many hidden figures you think we got throughout history? How many black faces have they painted white throughout history just for the sake of looking at things? Every Greek philosopher learned from Egypt, their major ones at least. But we don't get credited for that. We don't get credited for anything. So the impact I think that we have is that, and Eddie already said it, we're not taking time to teach our children. We so busy trying to put our backs on the government. We're trying to legislate behavior. We're trying to legislate religion, because that's all white nationalism is trying to do. And so now when you couple that with young black youth who are impressionable when they get in some of these schools, when you go to, we had a young man who graduated from Stanford, his first day in his computer programming class at Stanford. He said a professor looked at him and told him, "You don't belong here." His first day in class, "You don't belong here." I had my man who went to Oxford 3 or 4 years ago for an internship, and they sent through a airdrop a racist joke. He hacked all their phones and found out who the person was who did it, and it was a white kid. And guess what he got? A verbal reprimanding, because there are no consequences for them. So when our black young people are put into these situations and they don't have a foundation, I'm dealing with an unchurched generation right now.
Yes.
The kids I work with, for the most part, bro, they off the street.
Yeah.
These kids coming in rough, and I can't be, you better shut up and sit down. No, I got to meet these kids right where they are. It takes a special person to endure this kind of, and I'm telling, my nerves are being worked by some particular kids, bro. I mean, 100%, but I'm not going to give up on them. That's because this is an unchurched generation. When mama's 20 and grandma 35 and great grandma 40, 55, they don't know the church. So I got to break things down to a micro level with them and give them the biggest thing I didn't get. When I came up in church, and y'all know how our generation was, sit down, do what you're told, and all this, or you're going to go to hell. I said, I'm not trying to give y'all the hell of God. I'm trying to teach y'all the love of Jesus. And then usher in how to be respectful, how to behave yourself when you're in the church of the living God, which is the pillar and ground of the truth, as recorded in Timothy, right? But we are missing something. And as we look at the disgust that some of our young people feel. They're flocking to the Republican Party because they're tired of the Democratic Party. But that's a slave mentality when you're going back to the oppressor and not at least the optimist. And that is what is happening.
Well, they're doing it because they're caught in it, right?
They're caught in
Right.
it. A lot of our young men, some of them are going to Islam, the Nation of Islam. Some of them are going towards Hebrew Israelitism. And mainly it's all based.
And a lot of that Hebrew Israelite,
Yeah.
I had a discussion recently.
And just let me finish this one point real quick, Eddie.
Go ahead.
But a lot of it's based on masculinity.
Come on. That's what I was going to say. Yep.
It's
Yep.
based on
Yes,
masculinity.
sir.
Masculinity.
Yep.
And so when they see the KFs of the world on stage with Usher dancing the jigaboo with strippers coming down on poles,
Uh-huh.
not that they showed Kirk in that scene, so I'm not saying he was in that scene, but this is what they see.
Mhm.
The more
he had his own pole that he was sliding down, from what I hear.
But that's
Mike,
the thing.
relax.
When they see these associations with the world, they don't see a masculine church. They don't know the Dr. Braziers. They don't know the Pastor Henrys, who's a computer whiz. They don't know the Dr. Braziers who started out at IBM. They don't see strength because they don't know where to find strength because that's not what's projected in front of them. So the church, a part of the black church, has lost some of its savor. But I
So
agree
then
with
let me ask this then. When because Eddie mentioned family, when you look at how religious or spiritual beliefs have how they influence, roles and responsibilities, because when you look at when you look at just as a believer, you're the man, you take care of the home, you're a provider, you love your wife as you love the church. How then does your faith shape your views on family, how you raise your family, your relationships, fatherhood, and your relationships with your kids, your relationship with your community? How does your faith, your personal faith, shape that? And how do you translate, how do you convey that to your family? Because I can tell you one of the struggles that I have is that, and I wanted to talk to you, Tone, about this because I'm working on something right now. I got this idea from my pastor, and what I wanted to do was have a one-on-one with pastors about different things.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I wanted to talk to them about was the apparent disconnect that our young men have with the church. Like there is no connection whatsoever. Like they have like a lot of them just have no interest in it. And I've been in church all my life. I have my kids with me, but they have a different point of view. And it's not like they don't love the Lord, but it's something that there is something that don't resonate with them with the church as it is now. How do you guys face those challenges when it comes to telling your kids about faith and about just like, how do you convey that to them or try to encourage them to try to develop that connection or that relationship with the Lord?
I pray for my daughter every night, and there are nights during the week where she'll call at night and I'll be like, hey, you here, let's just have prayer together as a family.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter has seen me at my absolute worst as a parent, and every time she has, I've owned it and I've apologized for it because my generation didn't apologize for nothing.
Nothing, bro.
Even if you got beat down by mistake and it wasn't your fault, they ain't apologized.
Not a doggone thing.
Sometimes they don't remember it.
Nothing.
Right? Oh, we forgot. That really
I don't
happened.
remember that. I don't remember that. Boy, you telling it? No, you know that ain't happening. Yes,
I
it
gotta
did.
own it. I don't frequent my daughter's Instagram page, but I did it one day, and when I saw it, I just sent her a picture. I sent her the picture, and I said, "You're too accessible, and if somebody wants to take advantage of you, you should make it extra hard for them."
Come on.
I said, but aside from that, You are a representative of God. You are his daughter. How does this reflect the blessing that he gave you by giving you a full ride scholarship to college? See, I just want to, and I was not yelling. I was not, and she texts back, I understand. I'm gonna always be dad. And I tell her that. I'm gonna always be dad. Mm-hmm. The first song on my album is dedicated to her. And I said, whenever you feel like you can't have a conversation with me, you put that song on. The first song on my first album called My Journey. You put that on. Her favorite song on that album is called Decisions. I said, when you got to make I said, listen to that song. You ain't going to get it right all the time, but I at least want to embed it in your brain and in your psyche. She's memorized that song. So she knows when she makes a decision, it was a collective choice that she made on her own by processing through them neurons, and I have all the other stuff in the brain that connects. You made this decision. You made this decision. But I keep my daughter covered. I pray for her. I pray for every college student who's away at school. I pray for her because I know my words, they may fall on deaf ears, but them prayers, that takes the connection. God, I'm talking to you on what you gave me to watch over. She belonged to you, but I'm talking to you so you can make whatever happen. One of the number one things our kids fall away to when they get off to colleges, it's hard for them to find a good church home. Yeah. And I'm always telling them, go to church. I know you're watching online. That's cool, but you need to get up. See, I want her to be able to build, especially for junior and senior year. You got to be able to build community where you are. Online is great, but it's not community. You got to feel the presence of believers inside of the house, the church of the living God. You got to assemble yourself. So when you are in need, you have physical, tangible people you can go to. But I pray for them. Our church has 2 programs for young men, Young Brothers for Christ, which I think is age 7 to 13, and then Lions of Judah, which is 13 to 18. And on Friday nights, they get to play basketball. But before basketball ever kicks off, they've got an hour Bible study. If you come after Bible study, you can't play ball. The entire program, and it's not to control you. Hey, this is a church you come into. We're going to do Bible study, and then we're going to go play ball. If you get here late, you're not going to be able to play ball. Church is very upfront. Like we got to have a standard. And that's the problem with a lot of these schools. They're erasing black men out of the classroom. And, I'm cool with social emotional learning and all that, but you can't raise black kids like you do white kids in the birds. We two different kinds. No, I made this statement a while ago, and I'm going to land it here so Eddie can talk. White people worship God from their place of privilege. Black people praise God from their place of trials and tribulations. And I learned this just by listening to the different dynamics in the music. And I was like, why does it seem like white people make better worship music and black people make better praise music?
Because they ain't struggling when they singing about every time we.
But that's my point though, and it's not to make this a racial piece, but it's to make it.
I get it. I get what you're saying, Tony.
When you listen to white people, and I hate even saying white worship.
No, but I get what y'all saying.
I mean, they got separate. That's our stations are separated.
Yeah, but their worship music is different because it's like you said, it's from a place of of just appreciation. Lord, I thank you, I magnify you, I glorify you.
And that's a better word than privilege. So thank you for correcting me. That's a better word than privilege.
You're wonderful. You're awesome, maybe well, it all depends. But when we do it, it's Lord, you brought me through. Lord, you brought me over.
We've been waiting in the water, bro.
But this is what I'm saying. So the perspective is definitely different, man. But let
me say this last part. This is something I started doing on Sundays. I teach on first and third Sundays with the young people. I started making our congregation of young people a choir. I freestyle a song every week. I'll give this section apart, this section apart, this section apart. Sometimes I'll break them into 5 different groups so we can have 5 different avenues of worship going on, of just praise. Now, I want to get nobody in trouble. We don't have a musician for our young people. Our young people don't have a band. The adults have a choir. The adults have an orchestra. Our young people don't have that. Right? And so we have to really be focused on how we teach in our youth service, because the choir with the congregation, they have like announcements. You know, they got a choir that comes up, then pastor makes a statement, then you got the choir comes up, you know, then you got the offering, you got an offertory song and all those things. Like, you know, right. A lot of youth ministries don't have the same type of setup. And so most of our focus is heavy on the teaching side. And I'm not one of them dynamic, creative teachers. You know, we got teachers. My wife, she will spend a whole week on a lesson plan and have like 9 different dynamics to it. What you doing, husband? Oh, I got like 4 slides, a couple of talking points, and some group activity that we gonna talk about. That's about all I got, right? So I try to incorporate.
You got to step your slide game up, Tone. I'm just saying.
I mean, you know, I put some movies in it, you know, like I do the movies in it, you know. But I'm just saying, like, but when you got a pastor who has to only preach for 25 to 30 minutes, we've got to teach for 1 hour and 15, bro. That's a long time to be with people young people. That's a long time to engage them. So I got to hit them hard and then let them go relax. Hit them hard and then let them go relax. But the point for me is, you got other teachers on 2 other Sundays. I let them do what they do. But when you with me, I'm going to be going through things like, you know, what books are the history books in the Bible? What are the poetry books? What are the epistles? Who's the apostle? Right? This is how I'm teaching them. But it goes back again to when it comes to our young people, they need love and structure and teaching. I'm going to close with this. A parent came up to get their child last week and she said, "Thank you for watching my child." I said, "I was not watching your child. I was teaching your child." Because I don't want you to walk away thinking this is a babysitting service.
Right.
But the end of this, you should be talking to your child about what they learned today. So if I wasn't on my game, you should be able to come back and say, "Hey, bro, my kids didn't remember nothing." Either because they wasn't paying attention, or like you said, Mike, I got to step my slide game up.
Got to step your slide game up, man. I'm learning. I'm trying to get better with it. Look,
sorry for that long run.
That's all right. I wanted to ask you guys this one last question, because I'm sitting up looking at it's already 8:30. This, Jesus Christ, this conversation flew past. So I just want to pose this I want to pose this to both, or Eddie, if you want to close out, however you guys want to do it. When we talk about, just talking about you're talking about the youth, but just when it comes to Black men in general, who may be seeking out, some type of meaningful, spiritual experiences, or maybe a community, a spiritual community that align with their personal beliefs. What advice would you give to a brother that may be struggling with his faith, or just searching for some type of spiritual fulfillment? Eddie, I'm gonna let you go first, and then Tone, if you want to piggyback on it, you can go ahead and do that.
Well, I'm a jump between that last question and this one, because I think they both kind of relate the same thing. But I will say, like, I got 4 boys, right? Yeah. That are military brat babies, moved all over. But they are very, very, very spiritual, and they pray, and we pray as a family. And I was listening to everything that y'all was saying, and as I was listening to y'all, I was thinking to myself, I said, some of the major problems, I think what I would try to get a young man, but not just a young believer, period. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Black church, Black spirit, African spirituality, whatever, however you want to term it for yourself. But we need to understand that there is nothing, and I think I said it earlier, nothing that equates, especially in our modern world, to the birth that Black, whether it be African and African American, Black American, however you want to term yourself, spirituality. Our ancestors came over here from Africa, and not only did they suffer and they endure, but through their faith and their religion, they gave birth to institutions, whole towns, schools, companies, housing and developments, all of this. They did that with limited education in a traditional manner, and they provided. And then they took, once freed, they went and they created what was called a nation within a nation, or the invisible institution, which is what they used to call the Black church. And though the master used to sit there with them and watch them sing and play and pray to God during slave times, he sat there for two reasons. One, because he didn't want them to know the full experience of what God was. That's one. But two, he was amazed. We know this from their own writing, of the way they would intone and the way they would take things on and develop it through that faith. He saw the power of faith in those slaves, and it made him money. It made him profitable, but it was because God wanted to protect those people on that plantation. I heard Tone say that, our first church publishers were the AME Church. They put out those things. You talk about Black schools, HBCUs, right? Fisk, Howard, Morehouse. Those institutions were started in basements with Black people worshiping with whites. The NAACP started with faithful Black people going with equal-minded white people to realize something was wrong. That is the power that I would convey to young people. Your church by function is for you to go and worship God. But in doing so, God provides, God protects, God encourages, God grows. Most of our leaders that you see, the Martin Luther King Jr.'s and on, they came out of those churches. I told somebody that today, I mentioned it today, we better pray that God sends us leadership, real teachers. Because back coming out of World War I, World War II, when our people were being murdered in fields, being killed and lynched and burned and destroyed, God bought those people. He bought those Dr. Kings. He bought those Malcolm X. Even if you don't agree with what Malcolm said, he bought the Urban League. He bought the SNCC. He bought all these differentiating groups, and he bought them together.
Yes, sir.
And he bought them under, and every one of them would get up there and they would say, I give reverence to God because of the prayers of our ancestors. So when we witness to our young people as African Americans, as we tell them about the beauty and the majesty of God and of Christ, we do a disservice when we don't teach them that there were people in their community, there are people in their families and their ancestors who cried out for them and they didn't even know them, who suffered and bled and prayed, fasted. So I often just say we have to get to a point where we stop trying to witness in the way we think the white folks witness to us. Mm-hmm. Let's get out of the Nat Turner master mentality where they tell us a little bit. Let's preach the gospel, do that, but also let your people understand what they have gone through, because only by letting them know what they've gone through do they understand their worth, do understand who they are. You think that another Black man will go out there and shoot another Black man if he knows him to be his brother? But you teach them this supremacist, dominating, imperialistic, controlling gospel. Jesus went among people who were sinful to preach. What makes you think you better than Jesus and think you can't go to people? And you gotta, as pastors telling them, don't give to the poor. As you got people dancing around like baboons and acting like they don't understand what message this is sending.
Ooh.
When you got folks who will sit out here and tell their congregation what way to vote, but never the reason why they shouldn't vote a certain way, and not understand that the whole reason why you have the right to vote is because somebody didn't choose a party. They wanted the choice. They died for the choice. But we don't teach. And it pains me as a historian, as a teacher, as a person. And God has really been developing and letting me understand, because you get discouraged when you will look at young people. I will say this. My son has a friend doing everything that he was doing for his mom. His mother was an addict. And it broke my oldest son's heart. He said that and he called me and my wife in there just to talk to this young man. And one of the things me and my wife kept saying is, you keep your eyes on Jesus. You keep your eyes on God. You cannot try to fulfill the needs of man. Even sometimes young people, when it's your parents, because your walk with God, right, is your walk with God.
Yes, sir.
And I always think about my grandmama, right? My grandmama, when I was a kid, she used to come up to me. She said, you know what? You amazing. You miraculous. She encouraged me. My grandfather was the same way. And I realized as I got older and I look back at their lives, they didn't always get that. They didn't always do that to their children. But they understood as they watched their grandchildren grow up. I got to leave something here. We all got to leave something here. We're going to all be accountable, right, to the souls that we witness to, how we witness to them. You don't tell a person to go out there and say, depend on God. Yes. And then I tell them the stumbling blocks that you have had to get over, that you know that they're going to come up upon. Right. If you don't make that a part of your witnessing,
come on, Eddie.
You have failed that person.
Come on, Eddie.
And they drug addiction and they gang violence. I am probably one of the nerdiest people that you'll ever meet in your life, but I ran with straight up killers for a while. I ran with people that you can't show no weakness to. And I thank God that he took me through that, that he allowed me to see that part of life.
Yes, sir.
And so I can witness to my sons, you're not going that path. This is how you avoid that. This is what you do.
Hey, he said he's
master.
That's what's up, man. That's what's
master
up.
Who you are.
Come on.
As a young man, 20 years old, master it. Man. I've had the benefit of working with my son. My oldest son working with me, and people coming to me and telling me, man, your son, he works. A dude pulled me over to the side. How did you raise him? What did you do? And all I said is, all you got to do as a man is you make sure that your example is a strong example.
Bruh.
Come on.
Eddie,
so that they know. That they know.
That's it.
Because I don't think we do that.
We can just take up the offer now. I mean,
that's it right there, bro. That's
Eddie,
it.
Eddie over here getting me emotional, bro.
I'm saying, man. I'm
just letting y'all know, man. This history thing, I cannot stress it to y'all. You all, everybody out there, prioritize your history. I'm watching this election. I'm watching the foolery out here in this world. Prioritize your history. God left it here for a reason. He gave you it for a reason. When you turn away from it and you repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Somebody told me we close to Rome. No, brother, we close to 1939. We are close to 1941. We close to the time of Hitler. We are looking at a time right now where black people are under attack. You're getting killed in grocery stores. Your kids, the infant mortality rate is plummeting. You're not getting health care. You are dying, and you don't even realize you're dying. We have judges out here bragging about the fact pure racists that can nobody take them off the stand or take them off of there because they can't remove them while they sending your kids and you to jail.
But we pro-life.
But we pro-life.
But we pro-life, bro.
And we out here preaching bull. We telling these folks, man, hey, you know what? Don't vote for Kamala. Don't vote for Trump. Don't vote. Do whatever you tell. But what understand? I'm making it very clear to everybody tonight. Your ancestors, the James Dahmer who got burned alive, the Medgar Evers who got shot in his driveway, they didn't die for you to choose a candidate. They died for your choice. They died so you could make a choice, either to not vote or who to vote for. Because that wasn't a choice. It was taken from you. Man, we better learn our history. And that goes along with our heritage, and that goes along with our spirituality. Because when we bring all those things together, that is what the African was in the Old Testament and the New Testament. They combined all of those things. That's who they were. And some way we've splintered out of that. If we can't be good black men, we can't be good fathers, we can't be good leaders, we can't be good mothers, we can't be good brothers and sisters if we don't bring all that stuff together. And I'm done.
We have to address another reason, and I'm not sure if it's which pastor. Hope Pastor Henry's still on. There are a lot of charlatans out there preaching their own gospel. When I heard that dude say that there is no benefit and no return on giving to the poor, and I heard people clapping and cheering, this is the number one problem. These cats don't need pulpits. These cats don't need congregations. They need to be stripped and banned from the pulpit. But it all goes on who ordained you a pastor? Because now I want to check out where they still got their church. Mm-hmm. It's a trail of these things. These cats talk about money, money, money. I had two parents come to us at a session, and they were like, my child don't want to come to church anymore because they said they've seen too much. They know this bishop sleeping with this bishop running this church, stole from the IRS, getting ready to go to jail, but he got a woman he bought a $1.3 million mansion for down in Florida. My kids, I said, I want you to go home and ask your child one question. Did they see that same thing in the house? What example did they get from you? Then you tell them that if you live in that way, ain't nothing I can say to your child. But if you are living the way that God called you to live, then you tell your child, take your eyes off those things outside and put your eyes on the relationship between your mother and father who've been married and faithful for 30 plus years, still serving in the church, still worshiping the Lord, still living after him, still in love with each other. You tell your child now, because when he stand before the Lord, he ain't going to ask you what Bishop did. He going to ask you what you did with the example that your mother and your father left you living for me.
Oh, excuse me.
We have too many folks trying to preach everything but the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Tony.
We've got so many so-called pastors. They going viral for everything. You got pastors who want to be podcasters and singers who want to be pastors and ain't leading nobody nowhere. Ain't leading nobody anywhere. It's dangerous, bruh. It's dangerous when you got philanderers running churches after multiple affairs. When you got folks taking over churches who were honoring a dude who was sleeping with boys, teenagers, young men, and lifting this man up on a pedestal, that's a problem, bro.
Pastor got sexual assault charges and still preaching.
And I'm not talking about perfection here. I'm talking about excellence in all things.
Yes, sir.
I share my dirt with my kids. I've shared on my show when we were talking about relationships and marriage. Tony B used to be the biggest flirt in the world. That didn't turn off when I got married. Some big mamas had to reel me in. Holy Spirit had to reel me in. Boy, you better get your life straight because one of them flirts, they gonna bite you and you're gonna be like, So we share our frailties, right? Brother Deacon Hines started off talking about how he used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mike talked about how he used to see how he's seen his transition from this to now being this man of God who's still got some ways to go, like all of us do.
Yes,
but we
sir.
talk about the transition. My issue is when you got people who are in church-like positions who will go on secular shows and not preach the gospel, but talk about how the church been treating them, how the church misused them. Even your man KF went live last week talking about we peeing him off. Y'all peeing me off. You just told folks to stop bringing up the Bible when you doing stuff. We don't have any other thing to bring up but the Bible because you represent yourself as a man of the cloth.
Thank
But
you.
you out here dancing the jig, wearing tight pants and boot
Thank
heels,
you. Thank you, Tony.
doing all kind of crazy shenanigans on TV.
I'm almost certain he got those pantsuits from a woman's store. I can't confirm it.
I mean,
He definitely got them shoes.
Got them from a man's store. Get your sock, but it's like you running around in tight jeans. You talking about what the church, how the church has treated you, how church people are treating you, and then you want to come up. Hey, Kurt Franklin's I'm gonna be in town. Y'all come to my concert and worship with me. But I thought the church was dogging you. I thought the church was judging you. Why are these people showing up for you? Because we still got hope and we still believe. So while you up here freestyling with DJ Envy, you can't find a Christian DJ to freestyle with.
Exactly.
Because maybe that Christian DJ, as soon as you said the lion and the lamb will bow down to the goat, they'd have been like, cut the record. What you just said?
Exactly.
People,
I was talking about what I was putting on my plate. I was not. Yeah.
This generation does not want accountability.
Yeah.
I'm gonna close out with this, man.
Yep.
Because people think one thing about the churches that we judge. Yes, I do judge 100%. I judge fruit. And if your fruit is rotten, I'm going to holler at you and tell you your fruit is rotten. Because as a man of God, I would expect if you saw me exhibiting rotten fruit, that you would pull me to the side and you would tell me something.
Mhm.
I saw a brother over 30 years ago. Nope, not 30. Maybe 25, 26 years ago. Walking down the street downtown with his arms around a woman that I know was not his wife.
Well,
Oh.
That brother left the church and I didn't see him again for 10 years.
seems to be a lot of that going on.
But he tried to hide when he saw me.
Conviction.
And I was like, yo, bro, what's up? Praise the Lord. Oh, hey, what's up, brother Briscoe? Nothing, I'm good, man. And I kept walking. But I want you to see, I see you.
Right.
Because I expect you to see me. When the mothers at the job saw me sitting down with a young lady at lunch, I'm like, man, we just having lunch. She was like, there's no such thing as just lunch with a woman, Tony. Oh, man, y'all tripping. Oh, man. No, they wasn't tripping. They knew exactly what they was doing.
Yeah.
They knew exactly what they was doing. You're going to keep playing with fire and fire going to come, boy. You better get your life together before you destroy your household.
Yeah.
So we can tell these stories of the fellowship of men. But I'm not going on Oprah talking about my porn habit and then going on TBN talking about worshiping the Lord. No, I'm going to go on TBN with the body of Christ who can hold me accountable. I wouldn't go on TBN now because that's like, you know.
Like, I don't know about TV.
Yeah, I'm talking back in the day, bro. But you know what I'm saying. You want Oprah pouring out. What spiritual development can she give you? She's shacking up with a dude that she ain't even married to for years. What spiritual development can she give you?
She's gonna tell you what the universe said.
Except when she was like, when I'm in trouble,
All right.
I call on Jesus. That's what she said.
I call on Jupiter and the power of the universe.
She
But
said,
you know what,
she said, when I'm in danger, I call on Jesus. She made that clear. But I say all this to say, man, our young people are seeing these things.
That's true.
They're seeing these things. So when you see Tyler Perry, who laid hands on TD Jakes,
Yeah, he did.
and then
Yeah,
you
he
see him
did.
at the
Yeah, he
Usher
did.
concert, dropping them bills on that stripper behind.
Uh-huh.
Y'all like how y'all see that? I watch a Christian podcaster who he break all this stuff down because the Lord has rose up a remnant of folks who are exposing wickedness in high places. They calling it all out, man.
Let me just
Mike, let me say something.
And I'm done talking. We
Cause
turn
let
the
me
show
say
back over
something.
to the host.
Let me say something.
I mean, because I'm just sitting back at this
Cause
moment.
Tony just let me say something, Mike. Cause Tony just jumped on something. That's why
Mhm.
you know a lot of people like consider me mean for some things. I don't believe in hugging and kissing on women that's not my wife in the church.
Why would you?
You know, no, but that happens. You know, you have a lot of men in the church that you know they in my opinion, I could be wrong, but the way I see it, just a little bit too friendly for me with other women.
I look at it this way: if that hug is longer than 2 seconds, bro, something got to give. Just let it go.
But what I'm saying is, sometimes things can lead to other things, Mike.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of single women in the church. And there's a lot of single women in the church that's I'm gonna get us in trouble, Mike. But I gotta say it. They're gonna be mad at me. But sometimes there's a lot of single women that's in the church that's in love with this image. So they're attracted to that image, and whether you're connected to somebody or not, if you pull it, there go. If y'all get what I'm saying.
I'm putting you on solo shot for this one.
Don't put me on solo, Mike, because I'm
No. Go
No.
ahead. Say what you
trouble.
say. What you
Get me
gonna
in trouble.
say?
What I'm saying is, man, it's about the way you carry yourself. If you say you walk in, you know, I'm a Christian man. It's some things that I used to do that I can't, especially my elevation now. So that's another responsibility that's been put on me because now I'm not only representing me and my family, I'm representing a church and I'm representing a pastor. So I have to be cognizant of the things I do. And sometimes we as men, we can get a little bit too friendly. We think that it's all cool and things, but you don't know what you could be leading yourself into. Like he said, what the mother used to tell you, it'll come back and bite you. You have to be cognizant of some of them things. Sometimes we as men, we don't pay attention to it. We think some things is not harmful. But in the end, it can come back and bite you in the behind. Excuse my French.
Plain English, bro. They need
such,
plain English.
Such
You
language.
gave
Such language. Let me say this to piggyback on what you guys said. I think all of that can be summed up in a few words, which is just let not your good be evil spoken of. You know, your reputation shouldn't precede you in the church. And unfortunately, we live in a time where it's so many false teachers out there.
Exactly.
It's so many false prophets out there. It's so many hypocrites out there. It's people don't know what to believe in nowadays. And I understand, you know, it used to be a time when people would tell you, listen, you know, sometimes you are the only Bible that a person read. And I didn't understand that statement for a long time.
Yes, sir.
But it just basically says that folks are watching you.
Exactly.
People are looking at you and they are looking at the life that you lead. And the question you should be asking yourself is the life that I'm leading going to lead somebody else to misstep?
Yes, sir.
Is it going to lead somebody else to fall? Is it going to lead somebody else to fail? That the blood of that person is on your hand. And I understand that I'm not perfect. As a matter of fact, I told my Sunday school last week, God made us good. He never said he made us perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We're not perfect people, but you should always strive to be perfect in what you know. And that's the difference. So what I tell people, especially when it comes to like when they're struggling, trying to find faith, you have to stop building your relationship. And I think one of the issues is that we tend to build our relationship on people and on a person and not build your relationship with the Lord.
Yes, sir.
So if I had any advice for anybody that's trying to find that spiritual connection or faith connection, get out of the practice of building your relationship with people and build a relationship with the Lord. And if you do that, you won't go wrong. I promise you won't.
Mike. So my wife and I would talk about our differences in witnesses' approaches.
Mm-hmm.
You just like her, bro, because because she said the difference between me and you, husband, is you like to build relationships. This is when she was working when we were without a child. She said, I'm a flight attendant. I don't have time to build relationships.
You didn't got time, Tone.
She said, I have one moment and I may never see these people again. And that moment for me is an opportunity to witness the gospel of Jesus Christ.
And this is where a lot of us get confused. See, what we do is that when we witness to people, and then we take on the responsibility of trying to get that person to change. That's not your job.
No.
Your job is to present.
Yep.
Your job is to present the option and say, let me tell you about a man. And then once you come and visit with that man, it is then him that will do the changing.
Yes, sir.
That's God's job. That's
Bring him
not
to
my
me and
job.
I'll do the rest.
Period.
My job is to lead you and say, hey man, let me tell you a little bit of, do you go to church? Do you believe in the Lord? Let me tell you about my experience with God.
Yeah.
And to lead them and to present them with an opportunity, present them with the option. My job is not to change you.
Yeah.
And we get so caught up in trying to change people. Let God be God and do what you were assigned to do. Witness.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Yeah. People ask,
but
why you do this? Why this faith? Why not this?
Yeah.
Why not this? Why I said, man, I choose to know nothing among you save Jesus Christ and him crucified. I ain't got nothing else for you. Well, what about the King James Bible? I ain't got nothing else for you. I choose to know nothing among men save Jesus Christ and him crucified. I don't come to you in excellency of speech. I choose to know nothing among men save Jesus Christ and him crucified.
Oh, Lord.
You can throw a 44,000 history questions at me. It ain't gonna matter because my knowledge of him will never supersede my experience with him and what he has done in my life. I choose nothing to know among men.
Listen,
that's how
I could probably continue this conversation for another 30 minutes, but it's 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock, fam.
It's 9 o'clock. I think it's 10.
This is a great conversation,
Eddie, ain't it?
man.
Eddie, it's 10 o'clock for you? Oh, it's 8. Oh, that's right. You're an hour behind.
Eddie,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Eddie, I keep
us,
forgetting
man.
Eddie is in
Eddie an hour behind. That's all right. We praying for him.
Hey, I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate you got it. And we've been wanting to talk about doing this for a minute too, so I'm glad, man.
I know.
You got Message Monday. You got Erudition Network, and we hanging out with Man Up Real Talk with Mike Wiley and Phil.
Man, look, I told Eddie last week I'm trying to get into the habit of getting into these interview type shows because that's why I believe the Lord is leading us, and I believe that some changes are coming, and I need to get ready for the changes.
That's
so
crazy. I've been doing the same thing, bro.
Yeah, man, because you know what, and the reason why I do that, and don't get me wrong, we're still man up. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all got 2 shows now, so y'all get to talk football now. So
yeah, I do, but I do want Mike to get this series going because I think this series is a good series that Mike can. I really want him to get that going.
Yeah, I'm working on a series called Talking with the Pastors, and I got about 6 or 7 topics that I want to talk to individual pastors about in regards to just a lot of different things. One of them is like youth retainment in the church. One of them is balancing your Christian beliefs with your cultural beliefs. One of them is the pressures of being a man in the church. These are all things that, a lot of things that men deal with. So it's things that I personally had questions about. And so I got these topics and I'm practicing on curating questions. So y'all because I'm normally not as structured as this. So I'm practicing on curating questions and putting them out there and stuff like that. And I'm trying to, master my interview mode. Eddie hit it right on the head. He was like, man, master where you are. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm trying to do.
But that's next on the rise. That's next on the horizon, fellas.
Yeah, so be looking out for that. Tony, I might be reaching out to you about because you kind of hit on something tonight, and I did want to talk about youth retainment and our disconnect with our young brothers in the church. Mm-hmm. So we may be able to connect on that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, man. But listen, if I haven't said it, I want to just let you brothers know, man, I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thank y'all so much, man.
You know, I really appreciate you guys, and I thank God that He has put me in y'all company, you know, because I hold you guys with high esteem.
Yes, sir.
And I look at what you guys do, and to be honest, I kind of aspire to doing that, because, you know, our show, and I know you need a balance, right? You need the serious and you kind of need the not so serious, which I think is kind of what we do, you know, but we do have moments like this where some things are like, no, we need to talk, y'all, you know. But I appreciate you guys and the lanes that you guys work in, and the things that you do. I really want to have that young lady on that you had on a couple of Mondays ago, Tone.
Oh, you want Tatiana?
Yeah, she was talking about the singles thing. That listen,
dynamic, bro.
Yeah, man, I need to have her on. You know what I'm saying?
I'll make the introduction, brother.
Yeah, I really appreciated her perspective, bro. I was like, oh, she's definitely somebody that we need to have on. But man, I thank y'all for taking y'all time out, y'all evenings. I want y'all to make sure y'all thank y'all wives for letting me borrow y'all for this 2 hours. And you know, and just really appreciate y'all, man. I'm gonna give y'all a spot and give you the camera and let y'all tell the folks so y'all can where they can find you at. Tell them I'm gonna start with you, so you can go ahead and tell them all about Message Mondays and everything that you got going on.
Sounds good. Greetings, everyone. Tony Briscoe here. Catch me on Monday nights at 7 p.m. on my YouTube channel, Tony the Endurer Briscoe, or catch me on my Facebook Live, Tony Briscoe Live on Facebook. Message Monday, Christian men, Christian walk, Christian talk, where the sisters are always welcome. Check us out.
Appreciate that, man. Eddie, floor is yours, my friend.
Okay. No, you can catch me on I was in another world. On the Erudition Network on Thursdays. The Erudition Network, we have 2 shows. You can catch my wife on Mondays. She'll be on Mondays at about 7 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I think it's 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. But and my show is on 5 o'clock at 5 o'clock on Thursdays, where we get on and we talk about Black history, and we share our history, and we talk about different things like Manu Musa, Aska Muhammad, maybe some Songhai Empire, Ghana, all these different things. We're going to hit a lot. I'm trying right now to get more in line with what I want to hit. I'm working on 2 books now at the same time. God help me. But the point is to teach and to instruct and to provide knowledge for our people so that we better understand who we are and where we come from. So catch me on Thursdays. It's all free. There's not too many historians that get on and give you free information like I do every Thursday. So I try to do and be consistent with that to make sure that I'm out here to answer those questions and provide that information. So join us on that at that time.
All right, man. Listen.
And thank you so much. I thought you were about to put me on there.
He got you live, Phil.
I'm just playing, man. I was just messing with you, man. Take me off this mess, Mike, man. Come on, man. Take me off.
Man, up real talk.
Hey, Wednesdays.
Let me tell you how I can make Phil real uncomfortable, because what I'll do is I'll put him on the solo shot and I just won't say nothing for about 30 seconds. And he's like, Mike,
don't worry,
Mike.
I'm gonna hit that. I'm gonna hit that text on you in a minute. I'm gonna hit that text on you. I have my phone.
Hey, all you brothers, do me a favor, man. Do me a favor.
What's up, man?
In the next couple of weeks, we're gonna be putting out that new book. I'm really working hard on this book. The Who Am I? Questions for myself and my teachers.
Yo, that children's book is gonna be crazy.
I really am trying to get this done before Thanksgiving and get this out, because God just seems like he's not giving me any peace unless I get it out. It is needed. I know that it is needed. We're going to try to make this very interactive. One of the things that I'm definitely going to do with this book, and I don't know, we have to understand that our children Google everything now. Yes. Google and Alexa everything now. So one of the parts that I'm adding in this book is Google exercises for our children, so that they understand that you can use Google as a resource, but not as a primary source. and walks them through how to get more into their history. I am dedicated right now to getting our children, our young people taught. They need to know more about who they are. So as you guys will see me over the next couple of weeks, I'm really going to be pushing that, trying to get this book. It's just on me. It's a fire on me to get it out, to get it done, because you're just seeing that a lot of our people, our young folks, they don't know who they are, man. And we're either because we don't know or because we don't want to, or whatever. We're not teaching them to ask these questions. And I love the title. God gave me that title because it's questions for them and their teachers, everybody who teaches them. So
look, I'm excited for it. Let me know when you getting, know, you already got a spot, man. Whenever you drop it, just let me know. We gonna have you right back on.
I think Jackie got Sister Tina. I think Jackie got her book. I don't know if you still on that, Jackie. Did you get Tina book today? And I think we just recently.
Yeah, my wife's book is out. It's on Facebook. Facebook. It's on Amazon. It's another good book. So we are definitely here at Erudition trying to put out more books, more instruction. Because at the same time, I got part 2 of Black History, Middle Ages coming out. So I got a lot coming out before the end of the year. But it's about instruction. It's about providing information that we need. So.
Yeah.
So I want to, and we can talk again. We can talk off air about this, but I had one of the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to host a spoken word, man, and just really just have just some people come out and just have just a nice spoken word event, man. We come out and enjoy the creativity and the vibe. And nice. I want to get with you on that, man, and do a Man Up Message Monday collab with some spoken word stuff. Yeah. Dude, I think that'll be dope. Cool. But we can talk on it. Yeah. But look, that's good. It's the weekend. Yeah, 2 hours, man.
This is a great conversation, man. Thank you.
Yeah, but it was much needed. We haven't done a 2-hour show in a minute, but that just shows you. Yeah.
By the way, I am working on a song called Yesterday.
Okay.
So I am honoring those who are grieving. So I got a video concept, and so I'm gonna be putting the word out that if people want people that they've lost in love to be a part of this video, because I'm going to make it like I'm walking through an art museum. And as I'm rapping, you'll be seeing pictures of people who people want to honor in their lives. So I'm going to be putting that together, man. I got a guy who's going, just working with. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to record it professionally and then get a video done. But I'm looking forward to this project coming together.
Keep us posted, man.
I will. I will.
Yeah. All right, guys, this is the weekend. You know what we always say, get out there, do something with your family, man. Love on them. Listen, if you don't do nothing else, love on them a little bit more this weekend. Ain't nothing. Real men hug. I don't care what you say, they do. And we need them every now and again. Y'all don't be thinking, look, I'm 6'3", and I ain't going to tell you how much I weigh, but I don't mind hugs. I appreciate them. My youngest son taught me to appreciate hugs. And he just, and he's 6'2", and weigh probably as much as I do. And he came in the other day. He was like, "Dad, can I get a hug?" I was like, "Bring it in, son."
Gotta love it, man.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it. So listen, love on your people this weekend. Check on your people this weekend. I keep telling y'all don't know who going through and what they going through. Every now and again, call your people and see how they doing. Sometimes that word of just saying, "Hey, man, you good? How you feeling?" You just don't know how that'll do a person. You understand what I'm saying? So make sure you check in on your people. And above all, man, y'all be safe. You hear me? And if the Lord say the same, we'll be back here next week at the same time, same channel right here on Man Up Real Talk Podcast. And until we talk again, my friends, on behalf of Eddie Phillips, Tony B, and Philip Hines, y'all get 2 fingers to the side. Make sure you holler at your boys because we out.
Peace.
Peace out.